short assessment. It consists of me asking some questions of any medical problems you've got, that detail about them, and then how they can affect you day to day. So first of all, can I just double check your date of birth? Right, that's great. Right, so what I wanted to do first...
Can I just check, are you carrying out the assessment?
Yeah.
And will you make the decision on whether I get taken off the benefit?
I'll tell you what happens. We do the assessment and I put in the system, all what you tell me, all your history and everything like that, like all your background, like who you're seeing, medication you're on and things like that. We give advice to decision, make it the Department of Work and Pensions, and they make that decision from there.
What's your background within mental illness? And
I'm not going to go into my personal details.
Am I not entitled to know whether you're qualified to make a decision on my mental health?
You're not entitled to know any of my personal background, no. Are you happy to go on the assessment?
Are you employed by ATOS?
Yeah.
Yeah. A private healthcare company who's making...
Are you happy to go on the assessment?
I'm asking questions which I believe is within my right to ask. If that is not the case, then you can by all means tell me if it's not my right to ask questions.
I'm employed by ATOS, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not... How would I determine whether you're a suitable candidate to be able to tell me if I've got a mental health illness?
It's not you
my
that
doctors went through
it's
7 years of medical school.
The government determines who's and whether...
Are there any doctor at any point with mental health training making this decision?
What I'll explain to you, it isn't you, it's not me.
Because I can lift my hands.
Whether you agree with it or not doesn't matter. Whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter, but that's the system. But what I'll tell you they do is they contact your doctor, your GP, and ask for a bit of background and information from them. So they do get some information from them. Are you happy to go ahead with it?
Just before we go ahead with it, which I'm happy to do you mind me asking why I can't ask questions about the person that's given me an assessment, which could have a huge effect on my life, lead me to jump out a window and commit suicide?
We don't have to give you any personal information. We don't have to do that.
I'm not asking personal information.
You're asking personally what my experience is. The government...
No, I'm asking, do you have any...
mental health experience?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
So you have experience in mental health?
Yeah.
Okay. Qualified in the United Kingdom, nursing or...
I've done nursing and mental health, yeah.
Because my whole family come from nursing background, so I'm quite interested to...
I'm a general nurse, and as part of our training we've done some part of it in mental health. Before I was qualified, I also have some mental health background. Are you happy to go ahead with it now, Mark?
Okay, I don't believe you're suitably qualified for this decision, but I'll go ahead with the interview. Right,
okay, so are you sure you're happy to go ahead with it? If not, I can't go into this anymore, I'm going to have to abandon it.
If I'm not happy, what process would take out from there?
It would be abandoned and it would go back to the Department of Work and Pensions and they would decide what happens.
Whether they take me off it?
No, they would decide whether they call you back in or what they do. It's their decision. The Department of Work and Pensions requests your medical assessment and that's why you're asked to come in for it. So if you're happy to go ahead with it, we will. If you're not, I'll abandon the assessment and then they'll decide from there. But I'm not going to discuss this anymore.
Well, I need to ask one more question. Right. If I'm not happy for this to go ahead, and this isn't you I'm particularly picking at here, it's the whole principle of ATOS and private healthcare. I know all about ATOS. I've watched the documentaries, I've went through the whole process of seeing how you've changed decisions on people who have died soon after.
But I'm
not going into that either, but what I'm concerned about here is if I say, no, I don't want to go ahead, then I don't think you're suitably qualified for this to make this decision, which could have huge ramifications on my life.
What happens?
If that goes back to them, do they automatically take you off benefits and I wouldn't be allowed to claim any benefit? And then I would get thrown out my house as a result of it?
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't know what happens if the assessment's abandoned. I wouldn't imagine that's what happens right away. I imagine they would probably try and find another way of getting you assessed. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't happen right away, but to be honest, I don't know what happens after that. It's their decision.
This isn't about you not wanting to go ahead with it, then I don't believe, no.
That's fine, no problem.
Sorry, but it's not about you, it's purely about ATOS and the government.
No, I understand, you obviously feel quite strong about it.
Thanks.
Just thinking what's the best thing to do. Yeah, that's fine.
Does this happen often, or is it?
Never with me.
wanting to question everything that's getting put forward in front of me, and that seems like the only logical thing to do when this happens.
So what will happen now, this will be sent back to the Department of Work and Pensions, and you should hear from them directly with what will happen next.
Okay, well,
right?
is it down there? So the letter says, we recently asked you to attend a medical assessment on the 4th of October 2012. This was in relation to your benefit claim. We have now received more information and we no longer need you to come to this assessment. Well, the first question I have is, why are you sending me a letter out on the 4th of October when the appointment was on the 4th of October? The appointment that I attended at the address where you've sent the letter from. And it also says you're in receipt of new information. What information's that? I contacted Department of Work and Pensions. They said they haven't spoken to you. They never gave any information to you. I contacted my doctor. He said he never gave you any additional information. So you've cancelled an appointment that I attended and told you I wasn't willing to do the assessment, and you're now in receipt of new information. The plot thickens. Thank you very much, ATOS.
Earlier this year, ATOS Healthcare decided to run a series of recruitment fairs across the country. This was in order to recruit even more professional health workers to become its disability assessors. After ATOS decided not to stand outside on the door and protest on this occasion, but to actually try and gain access and go into the recruitment fair and find out what they actually had to say.
If the patient came in with, say, a smelly leg, is it in your remit to take the dressing down and have a look at it? No. Because it's function. Right.
Yeah.
We don't care what it looks like, you can still walk on it. I know that's kind of horrible, but we don't really care what their medical condition is because we're looking at their function. So if it's mental health, physical, whatever.
So if you had a venous aorta abscess and he's not supposed to move, and you made him walk, and he actually caused the aorta ulcer to burst. And that would what about culpability and veracity? Because obviously that comes on our code of professional conduct.
We do not ask anybody to do anything they do not want to do or cannot do. If they walked into the medical center on their own will, we didn't force them to do that. And before we put them through any paces, any type of examination, we have to get their consent. And if they consent to do something, they have to then take the responsibility if something goes wrong.
Oh, thanks for that. Thank you.